Welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast, where we sit down and have real conversations with business leaders that have been where you are. During these interviews, we'll dive into what it takes to improve systems and champion processes that maximize performance. Each week, our trailblazing guests share their experiences and understanding of the workforce to help inspire change, challenge our thinking, and share what it takes to successfully travel the road to profitability. Now here's our host, co-founder and chief evangelist of About Time and WorkMax, Mike Merrill.
Hello and welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast. I am your host, Mike Merrill, and today we are sitting down with the president and CEO of ProEst, Jeff Gerardi. Jeff has been running ProEst since 1992, and today we've asked him to join us to talk about growing your business while keeping quality that you are known for. Welcome, Jeff. We are so happy to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks, Mike. Glad to be here with you.
Thank you. So first off, I got to know, tell me more about your experience of working your way up from the very bottom in a company as a new employee to eventually taking the leap and becoming the CEO of the company.
Yeah. So I was in a unique position when I started, way back multiple decades ago, where I actually started as a salesperson, and literally after a year or two, the owner was just at a position where he was ready to retire. And asked me if I wanted to buy the company. And at that point, I had one mouth to feed. So it was an easy decision, and I jumped in. And now we're 3 decades into it, and it's been a fun ride, but it's been the most fun these last couple of years with the cloud and everywhere we've gone.
Wow, that's really awesome, and I think it gives hope to a lot of other people. If you've got big goals and dreams, you can make them happen, right?
Just got to be open for the opportunity.
Very good. Awesome. Well, as a software provider, especially cloud-based software, it's easy to see how technology can help us to solve problems across the board. But what I want to talk to you about today is more about helping your clients create those processes and structures within their organization as it relates to the pre-construction phase. So in your mind, where's the biggest breakdown that typical contractors have when trying to create the standardizations for a pre-construction process?
Yeah, so, to date, and I'm going to go back to who my biggest competitor is, and that's Microsoft Excel. We like to call the big green giant, right? Every one of us on the phone uses it. We use it for multiple things, but its power is also all the risk that comes along with it, right? It's really flexible. We know that. We've all used it. We've all built formulas. We've all looked at Excel and built things within it. And it's really powerful, but it's a silo, right? It's a silo of information. And for us, our client's biggest hurdle is going from that 100% control over my silo, my Excel silo, to saying, now there's a company standard. Now, as we bring people on board, we onboard new PMs, new estimators, new directors of pre-construction, that there is a process that our company has developed that is a new standard within our business. And then as we start to put quotes out, there's a standard we come to expect of what every one of them looks like, and what is the workflow every single estimate goes through. But certainly letting go of that security blanket called Excel is the biggest, one of the biggest hurdles. And not knowing what that journey is going to mean, right?
Yeah, the Excel, we always refer to it as our spreadsheet addiction around here.
Yeah.
It's that safety
we call it a monster, but I like that you call it an addiction. That's a different twist.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so it's in some cases it's worse than paper because it's so easy to erase and retype whatever you want, and it looks cleaner and it feels so maybe
and hit a space bar, right? Hit a space bar, wipe out a formula. Now all of a sudden, a line which might have cost $50K is no longer being totaled into the summary at the bottom, and there goes my 2-3% profit.
Yeah, great point. Very valid, and certainly something that we've all heard horror stories about, or hopefully not too many of us, but some of us have probably experienced firsthand.
Yeah, it's normally when we get the call right after that day.
Well, so the listeners know, Jeff, again, with ProEst, it's basically a cloud-based estimating system. So what he's talking about is putting those controls into place so that people don't have data siloed and at their fingertips ready to be kind of destroyed or used in a
Yeah.
way that's not helpful to profitability. So.
Yeah, in the lack of visibility, right? So if I have 3, 4 people putting estimates together, and these days obviously we're all mobile, for a need of what's going on in the world, but having the visibility at a corporate level of seeing what's our pipeline look like, because in essence we're a sales tool, right? What does our pipeline look like? What estimates are being produced? What estimates are coming due this month, this week, this hour? All that visibility, within a dedicated estimating platform is possible. With individual Excel silos is not possible.
Yeah, great point. So within, and everybody in construction is familiar with the estimating side to some degree, whatever process they go through. But as it relates to your business, I'm sure you have tools within your business, technology tools, things that help you to keep on top of things. What things do you have in place that help you to avoid that communication breakdown from one person to another?
Communication within our business ourselves?
Within ProEst yourselves, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. So do we talk the talk, right? So we're certainly preaching cloud technology, mobility. We internally went to Salesforce to control our entire platform. Our entire company is run off Salesforce, and it has since 2006, 2007. So we're 13 to 14 years into being 100% cloud-based ourselves. So when COVID hit us all 6 months or so ago, we didn't miss a beat. We didn't miss a call. Our employees were mobile the next morning, 100% up. So, I mean, we're walking what we are preaching as well, where we need to be mobile. We need to have technology where we can access it, from a browser, but as well as from our phone. We can do that with ProEst. We can do that obviously with Salesforce. And operationally, we are using Salesforce across the board. So not only our sales, but our client management, our tracking of customer support cases and feature requests, it's all happening through a single cloud-based platform. So I think we've even gleaned some lessons from that we've incorporated into our platform, like configurable workflow. What's the process? What's the process an estimate should go through, from coming in from a business development person to going to a PM maybe to validate it, to going to an estimator? What does that process look like? Is there a review process? Can we control and define a company-wide process that every estimate goes through? Just like for us, I mean, every lead goes through a certain process. Every support call goes through a certain process, and it's controlled at a kind of a corporate level, and we can get complete visibility. So right now I can look at a dashboard and see how many support calls there were today, how many got answered, were they done in the allotted amount of time, and are we meeting what we've set our bar to be a great customer service company? Are we meeting that bar? Well, I've got that visibility. I've got that data to back it up.
Yeah, and I think, and our organization's the same. We haven't been down yet since COVID or not. We're using all of these tools. And we did it by accident. We didn't mean to. We built our own CRM initially, and then eventually got on Salesforce also. And we use a different tool now that has some other, other options within the platform. But
and we went down that path as well. So originally, mid 90s, mid 2000s, 2005-ish, we created our own CRM. We're like, we're going to control this, right? But that's no different than having an Excel silo, right? So we quickly realized that this is not our expertise. Let's bring in a system that could help us control this, so we can really put all of our efforts into making, software and products and platforms that our clients could benefit from, and not build their own back office stuff. So same type of, good versus evil that our clients are going through, Excel versus a standardized estimating platform.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing here, I mean, really to circle this back to our listeners and some of the things, even running their own business, those communication breakdowns, it sounds like they occur when data of any kind is in a silo. It's not what others can see. Right.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if I get a report from like an account manager as an example, and it's in Excel, I'm not a happy camper. It better be in Salesforce as well, because otherwise there's data being produced that could be helpful, for our teams to help a client outside of our operational platform, which is Salesforce.
Mhm.
So I want everything there so we can access it and help the client as a team, not just as an individual.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. You certainly are speaking my language on that.
Good.
So when we're looking at standardized data across the whole user base, then what you're saying is that eliminates gaps, that helps us be more efficient, helps us make better decisions. And so for a construction company, not only when it comes to software, but any process, it sounds like having that inner office, inner field visibility, where everybody's in the same data.
Yeah, I mean, what is the process from a business development person bringing an opportunity to a construction company, an estimate being created, and now that estimate's been awarded, and is it in their ERP or the accounting system to properly now track the job costing? What's that process like? It needs to be automated, especially as you scale. There has to be an automated process where the CEO or the executive team at that business could always look in there and see where is this opportunity in our process? Is it an estimate? Has it been awarded? Is it being built right now? And if so, what's the job costing data? Was the estimate accurate? Was it high? Was it low? Did we miss the mark on anything? But that visibility at least allows you to use data to make some real business decisions.
So basically, better data collection tools. And then as far as workflow, I mean, when you talk about automation, what does that mean to you?
So we built a configurable workflow. So I mean, in Salesforce terms, I mean, we can create a workflow that when an estimate gets started, first of all, who are the team members involved in it? There's someone's doing the estimating. Is there a director of pre-construction or someone that's doing a review of that estimate? Does it go to an executive team for a sign-off, depending on the dollar amount of it potentially? Well, that can be automated so that people automatically get emailed when an estimate's ready for its review. There could be an escalation involved as well. It needs to get reviewed in 2 business days. Otherwise, flags are thrown up because there's a due date we need to make. So that whole process, what's involved in it? Could there be an escalation? We want to make sure that there's no bottlenecks, right? And if an estimate goes to someplace for a review and it sits there for a week, well, that's a problem if the bid was due in 4 days, right? So making sure that we have complete visibility into that so we do not miss a bid due date. And there's accountability across the board, right? And they can define their own. So how many steps does it have and where does it go? How elaborate is it? I mean, we have clients that have 3 simple steps: estimate to review to send to client. We have clients that are controlling, billion-dollar construction budgets, like the city of New York is an example, and their workflow is much more elaborate because there's different levels of review. There's potentially 20 people involved in an estimate. Could be a GC, could be 15 subcontractors, could be internal people as well. So as long as it's definable, we have the ability to build a process that'll work across a business.
So with that, what have you done or have you seen done, or what do you try to do to try and help adoption become more prevalent?
Yep. I mean, adoption is really the key here, right? So from the beginning, during the sales process, I mean, we want to make sure that there is executive level buy-in to start with, because if they're not driving the ship, it's very easy to go back to Excel or to go back to old methodologies, and we want to make sure that never happens. So we want to make sure up front that there is a serious commitment to technology. There's a serious commitment to the next level of their growth, right? So as they scale, obviously things need to change to make sure that, as they put 10, 20, 30 more people into their business, that there's systems and standards in place so that it's not a huge load on them. They're simply plugging people into an already defined process. So.
Yeah. You're talking about helping them feel more comfortable with the tool, getting executive buy-in, so there's a driver behind it. This isn't optional.
Yeah.
And when you're talking, I mean, I'm hearing, and it's the same with, software of any of the vendors that you would see in the construction marketplace.
Yeah.
These things are key for any company to recognize is we got to have top level down, not only support and buy-in, but actually
Yep.
motivated by whatever means necessary, mandate that this is what we're doing, that the bus is going and it's going that way. And you need to get on the bus if you want to be a part of it. Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's certainly important from the top down, that if there's a new direction in terms of technology, that there has to be, certainly a mandate from above, but buy-in straight down through. So getting as many people involved during the presentation and demonstration phases as possible is important to get feedback, to get, buy-in at that level. We think it's imperative to making sure that a implementation goes live on schedule, because we're always, when we go, after we sell a client, we go through an implementation and we put a stake in the ground and say, this is our go live date. So who's responsible up until then? Who's the implementation lead on both sides? Who's the executive sponsor on both sides? We have weekly check-ins. We automatically are sending these out because we want to make sure the project stays on track, just like a construction project, no different. There's a due date for the bid, and then there's a start date for the project. It's the same thing. And we're excited to, we're at the point now where we've defined the process over our decades of experience, and we feel like we fine-tuned it enough that we know up front, we're going to present this implementation plan even during the sales process, so they understand what's the level of commitment on both sides, because it's a level of commitment. We're not kidding anyone here, right? It's new technology into a business. We've even shifted gears where we used to charge per user, and we went away from that because we want company-wide adoption. So now we're charging, based off of a platform versus just a individual user, because we want the estimators, the PMs, all pre-construction people on the platform, as well as who else needs to touch it. The executives want to see the dashboards. The accounting department needs to grab estimates for job costing. So the further we can reach our users, the further within a company, ultimately there's no limitations. You can control your own users and the securities around them, right?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you completely changed your delivery method of your system to companies, and there must have been some really specific reasons why you would do that, and that major change in your business.
Yep.
What is that? So people can avoid it.
That goes right into workflow, right? So we defined what we thought was this amazing workflow, but then we charged per user, and no one's going to pay our per user cost, so that, Mary, the head of accounting, gets an email that a project was just awarded and there's a bid coming her way, right? So the whole per user costing, we wanted more visibility of the estimate data throughout an organization, not just the estimating team, which might be 3, 4, or 5 people, right? Depending on the size of the company. So we didn't want people to be restrained by only certain users in the system. We wanted to be full open, again, trying to eliminate silos, right? When we created our cloud platform, which is now we're, 6 years into this, we went live about 6 years ago. We wanted to make sure that we were not a silo, because what we saw in the industry was an estimating silo, a takeoff silo, a CRM silo, an ERP silo, and it doesn't help anyone. Certainly doesn't help our end users. So vendors like us should open their gates and say, here's the data, where does it need to go next? Does it need to go to timekeeping? Does it need to go to ERP? Well, we've got complete tools built so vendors can grab all that data, and it never disappears within our platform, right? No more double entry, triple entry, thing of the past.
Yeah, so really it sounds like your decision to make it readily accessible to whoever, anybody who needs to see. So the city of New York uses ProEst, not this department, this division. Is that right?
They have north of 1,000 users in the same account.
Wow. Amazing.
All collaborating on estimates, all access to the appropriate data that they've been invited to, right? So there's still a control around it.
Yeah.
But it's still wide open.
Yeah.
It's still wide open. And I think any technology, even if we were to implement a new technology at our business, we would certainly make sure that the data is accessible by all departments, that the data goes where it needs to go, and it's not siloed in a single individual product. Like I wouldn't bring a product in our company that is not, first of all, cloud-based and forward thinking so that there are APIs and tools to allow us to grab data to put it elsewhere if we need to.
Yeah, so essentially what you've done is you've helped contractors get out of their own way. We're in construction, we're master negotiators, right?
Yep.
We are always looking to, work the deal the best we can. And so I may shave off a few users by not letting Mary in accounting have that license.
Yep.
We'll save money, but in the end, we're getting in our own way and we're forcing data into silos because as a business, we've decided we're going to tighten up that spend on our estimating system.
Yeah. Why not define rules at a user level of what they can and cannot see, what they can and cannot do, and have it be full, wide open. And for us, it was freeing, right? It's like no longer do we think we have to charge a user for an individual license. It's more us helping them adopt and drive our product and our platform throughout their business, because we know it's going to be more beneficial if it is widespread and everyone has access to the data.
Yeah. Well, and what I, when we have these discussions internally at our organization, it's the same thing. We want to be one of those apps that's on their home screen. So
Yeah.
They're used to using, they need it often.
Yeah.
We can do that and get, brain share of the users. Then, when somebody moves to a different organization or there's turnover or a company slows down and has to have layoffs, those skilled workers are going to go somewhere else. And when they do, and they run into an Excel-based system or paper time cards or some other non-software, non-technological system or silo you've been talking, they're going to say to their new employer or to their new foreman or superintendent, hey, where I was just at, we used XYZ or we used ProEst. And there's an opportunity now where a user that maybe otherwise wouldn't have had that visibility now actually has a voice and an opinion, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we're doing the same thing in our business. So certainly we have to, be honest with ourselves and say we should bring this same idea to our client base, right? Of kind of open doors in cloud technology. And I mean, we started a new education program where we're trying to get our platform to be utilized and taught at universities to now teach, cloud technology. What's going to move the industry forward? Well, it's cloud technology and ultimate collaboration between those tools as well is really necessary for an industry that's really slow to adopt technology. But that means there's a lot of space for the executives in the industry to step up and say, it's time to adopt technology that's going to help us scale and help our business work more efficiently and more productively ultimately.
Yeah. So going back to you as a CEO now and kind of the journey you've been through as an employee, I mean, what advice would you give to people that are trying to move up in their role or they're entrepreneurs at heart? They got to start somewhere. I mean, what have you learned in your decades of experience?
I think it's, I think ultimately always being just thirsty for knowledge, thirsty to learn more. You'll notice things in other industries that will help you as long as you're open to it. My first estimate, I'm 17 years old, working for a guy in New York. I think we're painting or wallpapering contractor. I grew up in construction. And we walk into this room, his name's Sal. He's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth that wasn't lit, right? You know that guy. We all know that guy. We walk in the room, he looks around, he's got his arms on his hip. He goes, "What do you think, kid?" I go, "I don't know, $5,000. He goes, "Let's do it." That was my first estimate, right? So, but from then, everything's kind of evolved. And, as long as you're continually learning, continually looking at new technologies, even if you look at another product, not necessarily a competing product, but a product, that's helping you schedule something in your personal life, right? I have 3 children. I have to schedule all their sports and everything that's involved in that. So I have a busy life. So what has been beneficial in other platforms that I can bring to my users that will help their lives as well? Because we're scheduling products and we're scheduling construction meetings, and this is all kind of combined. It's it's something that we could learn from other tools and other applications as well, I think.
Well, and even, how many of us are using Amazon Prime or have,
Yeah.
or maybe have an auto ship subscription, or there's so much of our lives. I mean, the bank accounts, the bills, the mortgage. I mean, I don't even have a
Yeah.
paper checkbook that I carry anymore for anything,
Yeah, I mean, we've been banking online. I mean, I've been banking online probably for 10 plus years now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm okay with my financials being online, I should be able to be okay with my estimates and my construction data be online as well.
Yeah. So
I mean,
go ahead.
yeah, I mean, you're typing your credit card into Amazon every day, right? So, I mean, if you feel comfortable doing that, and we're all hosted on Amazon servers, and rack space is our tier 1 support. So we certainly have the best security available in the industry right now. So I mean, that shouldn't be a concern at this point. Obviously, security is always a concern, but if you make sure that the vendor you're going with has those type of credentials and those types of securities in place, then that should be put to the back burner. And now it's about, how am I going to adopt this technology? How am I going to drive, this thought throughout our business of how this will help us be a better company overwide?
Yeah. Yeah, I think generally the populace, within North America, of course, and even worldwide, has kind of moved past those general initial concerns. Yeah. Thank goodness, because I remember 15, 20 years ago when that was not the case.
Yeah.
It was a hard sell, and people they wanted it on their server, in their office, right down the hall.
Yeah.
But I think,
and we're a technology company. We don't have a server.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we do not have a server in our office.
Yeah.
Everything we utilize is 100% browser based.
Yeah. So that's something to be said for sure. So
Yep.
So saying that, now going back to the market that we service and that we work in and with every day.
Yep.
What are some of those objections that you get that you feel like kind of stall companies from moving forward with not only just estimating, but the obviously that's your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I think if I think about the potential clients that have stalled the decision, I think most of the time it's kind of the fear of unknown. What does implementing a new platform even mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we've tried to set up a implementation plan, which we call it the 6 steps to success. So we tried to be as transparent as possible so they know what they're going to go through. They know how much time each step is going to take, but there's still an unknown, right? There's still a leap of faith. First of all, with a company, and do we believe in the company? And I think secondary, it's the product and the platform, and will all the employees within my business agree to utilize it? That's what from above, and the excitement has to come from above that there's a technology change that's going to help us move forward into the future. Yeah, I think it's an exciting time where we can make some changes, and I think the executives of the world, there's a leadership responsibility now to help move your company into that next phase of technology. And there's a lot of really cool technology out there now for the construction space that wasn't there even 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, and I think, and to your point, they're being forced. I mean, you're not. They're talking. You got religious services going on Zoom or online, right? You've got even people that are. I mean, there's talk of the presidential debate being online. It's interesting.
I mean, I have 3 children at home doing Zoom school right now. I mean, we had to double our bandwidth, but it's working, right?
And if your kids are like mine, they're done in about an hour and a half, and they, still
now what?
Getting good grade. But yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's more efficient at this.
It's more efficient, and it's a different world, right? I think there's more, even at that level, at the education level, there's more accountability. You don't have as much in-person teacher kind of communication. So now there's more accountability to do a lot more work by yourself. No different than our clients having to make a decision ultimately by themselves. It's their decision, but knowing that you have some support services to help back you up, and wherever you're going, find the company that's done it before. They've already sold clients that are your size, that are your stature. Make sure you talk to those clients. Ask clients what an implementation looks like. Call a client that's only 6 months in, right? They just went through implementation. It's fresh in their mind. either going to be fresh good or fresh bad, you're going to know about it right away, right?
Right, right.
But I think that's invaluable information to talk to a peer that's just gone through it.
Well, and I think too, and kind of to your point, your business is booming and you're having unprecedented success, and part of it's just because of that cloud visibility. That, you know, people are they can't hide behind that rock anymore. They've got to get online. They've got to be on one platform. They have to have visibility. They got people working all over the place. Some people working from home. It's the only way they can do it. So in some ways, this has really helped, I think, the construction industry to get more online, get more mobile, and really get on one platform so they know what's going on every day on a daily basis, as opposed to a week at a time when they have their roundtable meeting.
Yeah, I think it's time to get more creative when it comes to how we use technology. Right, it's time to take off the gloves and say, okay, what do we need to do to grow to the level we want to grow to? Right, you're a $20 million company today. You want to get to a 50. What does that mean from a technology standpoint and a systems and a process standpoint to get me there? And it's just one example, but certainly when we all scale our businesses, there's certain things that we need to do to make sure that we're ready for that scaling and for that growth. So I think cloud technology certainly helps that because it scales up and down really easily. It's flexible. You can control the scaling, hopefully, right? If you pick the right vendor.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've read a lot of different studies and reports, and construction is a laggard for sure. They're second only to the agriculture industry in technology adoption. So
we got the farmers beat. Is that what you're telling me, Mike?
That's it.
Okay, so we're not last. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, we're only second to last.
So, okay.
But if you ain't first, you're last.
So we didn't get picked last at dodgeball. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, today they're, you know, we meet with companies all the time that say, you know, it's time we get innovative, and the narrative has almost changed now to where I'm thinking, you're not getting innovative. You're just catching up. You're actually behind, right?
Yeah.
Your competitors have already done this, and it's time to kind of get current with the tools that are available to you now.
Yep, I agree. And there's so much more technology out there than there was, you know, a couple of years ago. So I think now is the right time. There's a lot of, I mean, on the ERP side, there's multiple cloud-based options now where there weren't, you know, 3-4 years ago. So yeah, being cloud-based now across a construction business is possible. So I think everyone owes it to themselves to do some research, dig deeper, and find out where they could potentially gain some efficiencies in their business.
Yeah, I think just like anything that we do that's scary or new or different, we, you know, there's greater benefit on the other side of this fear than you know, we're going to get by holding back, doing the head in the sand thing.
Yeah, yeah, but maybe talking to some of those people that just implemented or looking at some true case studies of some of your peers who've done it will help kind of lessen that fear a bit and say, hey, you know, why can't we do this?
Yeah.
Our peer just did it. Let's give them a call and see what challenges they went through and talk through it.
Love it.
And we got good guys like you and me here to help.
There you go. That's right. Well, and you know, like you, my background, I started in construction. It's the same thing. You know, most innovative businesses were started to solve a problem that they experienced firsthand, and there's no exception here with ProEst, obviously. So in kind of winding things up here, I just had one question I wanted to ask, and I'd like to ask each guest towards the end. So has there been a kind of a hack or a shortcut, some kind of a process that you've come up with that's helped you in business, that's kind of become your coined superpower, for lack of a better term?
My superpower.
Yeah.
I mean, my superpower, my wife would say, is my crux too. And that is my kind of never-ending drive. I mean, I call it, you can call it a superpower, but always looking for new ways to improve my business and improve my clients' experience with our platform has always been at the top of our list. You know, our core values for our business start with integrity, which is truly important, but also transparency. We want to be transparent with our clients and take them through everything we're going through. I mean, we have challenges as a business as well, just like anyone else. We're scaling now, added multiple employees this month. So we're going through some of the same kind of challenges that they're going through. And hopefully we've defined processes along the way to make it as painless as possible, right? And make things just fit together and it be an easy process. Because with enough pre-planning, it should be. And maybe maybe I got to it there, right? Being able to look ahead, think about what your struggles are today and think through and plan for improvements. You know, whether that's a technology, whether that's another employee in a certain place, whether that's a new process, whatever that process may be. But as much planning up front is going to help the back end in terms of implementation and adoption and everything that goes along with that.
That's great. So really what I'm hearing is almost having a plan to execute and implement the plan.
Yep.
Pre-plan for the plan.
Yeah. And hopefully we're going to set it up for success, right? You know, we've gone through it many times where we've certainly had good implementations and we've had not so good implementations. And hopefully we've learned from those not good implementations to continually improve our process. And I think that it doesn't matter if we're talking about technology or business or your family life. We can glean something off of every experience to improve moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great note to end on. So thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us today. We sure enjoyed the conversation.
You're welcome, Mike. Talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. And again, thank you, listeners, for joining us on the Mobile Workforce Podcast today, sponsored by About Time Technologies and WorkMax. If you like the conversation or learned anything new and insightful that you can implement in your business and you are interested in hearing more, and you can look at us online or on Instagram at workmax_, or please subscribe and rate us on your favorite podcast platform. Those 5-star ratings and reviews will help us to continue to provide this valuable service to the industry that we love and hopefully help you improve those results in business and in life.